Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is the market opened 45 minutes ago. Um, and what do we know about timing to be in these stocks is 30 to 45 minutes after the market opens. So we have a very nice, clear visual on where everything is going. So with that being said, we're just looking at some of the top gainers up here. Mainly just to see if we can get into a very nice day trade that lasts anywhere from like a minute to maybe 10 minutes. So let's just go out here and analyze everything that's happening. As you can see, this stock, NVFY, we have a few different support and resistant levels. So that's very nice to see. A very nice one that I'm seeing right here, right now, actually, is this bounce off of the $5.30 support level. And there could be definitely another resistance line, probably right in this area, based off of these right here. And maybe right here as well, at the bottom, right here. But it is definitely bouncing off. We can see the MACD is definitely well below, and when we know it's below and not above up here, that it is in a definite downtrend. So one thing we always want to look for is our indicators to definitely double check, is it down or is it going up. So normally you wait in this situation for this to come up, come down, and then come back up, and that would actually bring it up over and then swing it back up and above, and that's how the transition would be if it were to continue up. But as you can see, you would wait in the incidents that it was bouncing off of the support line and the MACD was actually above and it was bouncing off. That'd be a great excellent buy point. But because it is down here below, it's in a way doing the opposite, because if we come back right here, you can see that it was above and bouncing up and down, and it's just, if you just flip the script, it's now bouncing up and down and above. Down here it's coming down, over here it's going up. So you can see how that looks like, and it did just drop off right there from right on about almost $6 back down to in the $5.40 range, as you can see over here in the time and sells as well. So we can definitely go ahead and look at another one. This would be a great play if indeed here in a little bit it did wrap up and come above. You can see the RSI is way down here on the 30. It's actually in the 42, and what do we know about the rule of thumb? You wanted to catch it anywhere below 40. But in this instance, because it's definitely on the support line, if it does come up above, it could be a great buy. Even though it would be a little bit higher in the RSI, it still actually wouldn't be too bad. Let's look at volume, because as we know, volume is extremely important. I have my green trade to trade well stock book sitting right here next to me, and one of the very first, the second page on my checklist before buy is all about volume, because volume is extremely important. And as you can see, the volume right here is not at all what we want to see it for a great day trade, believe it or not. It's way down here. Even, like, for example, over here when the market first opened, I mean, that was up there at 14 million. Absolutely beautiful volume. That's the volume you want to stick in for that kind of stuff. Way down here, we are under 500,000. So volume is just something to definitely always keep in mind. So let's go ahead and look at this one. I've been watching this one a little bit this morning. I went ahead and already drew in the ascending triangle because we have a high at $5.79. And then actually, whoop, actually, we have this channel line that I was seeing if it was going to go after. And it was right on it. And now it looks like about 2 minutes ago, a minute ago, it did just dip below it. So what do we know? How would we find the support line to see if it bounces off the support line next, since it just broke our possibility for a channel line? I don't know why it keeps dropping me down every time I take an indicator off, but this right here, this point, or indeed this point, right here or right here, would be support. And what's so significant about this is we're going to go with this one right here, because as you notice, whoa, alrighty, my apologies on that one. I'm not really too sure what just happened, but as I was saying, where would we put the second support? And the significance about where it would be is this point right here, because we have, sorry, I kept exiting out on accident, but we're going to put that right there. And the significance about this is because you can see right over here, it hesitated on this imaginary line, and all of a sudden it broke through. And once it broke through, it took off and eventually made this high right here. And so that is where I would put the support line, because it came down but didn't bypass it, but came down to the same exact spot of where our previous high was. So that's where I'm going to put the support line. I put the resistance lines on the previous high, and believe it or not, it did just break it. And this previous high was sitting right around the $5.80, and once it broke it, it went all the way up to $6.09. And ooh, yeah, we all know what this single candlestick right here represents, right? That is a reversal. What happened at the very top? That's a reversal. So we're going to watch extremely close, because I know after it breaks resistance could be an excellent buy point. It could be a very great buy point when it breaks resistance, because it's going to go make a new high like it's going to do. And this is extremely awesome, so we're going to pay real close attention to this, and even maybe set another trend line on what it is that we're going to do here for many reasons. We're going to evaluate this step by step. So if we come over here and grab our trend line, put it at the bottom, and we're going to actually string it right up there. As you can see, the lowest low to the low that I just had, because we want to see where it's going to go next, if that makes sense. We want to really know where it's going to go next. Let me actually drop this down so we can have a real nice, clear, beautiful picture. And as you can see, the reversal, it broke it, and it keeps going up higher. So that is absolutely amazing. That's exactly what we want to see, believe it or not. So let's exactly examine what this bad boy is going to do. And there it goes into the 20s. And as you know, what is so significant about it breaking whole dollar amounts? For example, when it lands on the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and then again on the 50s, and then whole dollar marks. So for example, $6, $7, $8, those are very significant key points because that are the prices that stocks like to land on, and they will hesitate right on the whole numbers before they are going to either bypass it or not bypass it. So it is always extremely important to watch. If it's coming up to the $6 range, it might stay right there at $5.99, and it might say $6 as well, coming up on the time and sales. But until it says $6.01, I would go say for $6 and like trading at least 5 cents above the next whole dollar amount to buy in, because those are very important moves with as long as how price goes. So you always want to know where the next price target that it's gonna maybe stall at once you buy in. So for example, the next high it just made was at $6.25. So it broke into the 620s. So it could definitely easy range all the way up until the next whole dollar, or I'm sorry, the next whole amount, which would be 630. And we might see that coming up right here if it's going to come up and land on 630 and hesitate. Is it going to stall? As you know, the 625, we're going to see that a whole lot. And until it breaks 625, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go any higher because there's a whole lot of buying and selling pressure going on right now. But what is so important about this? See, that's just crazy. It's just hesitating exactly on this point. It does not want to bypass it for any reason at all. And as we now might notice, if you have noticed the volume down here, let's check out the volume real quick, because volume is extremely important. This very nice high volume right up here, these highs, is at over 5 million. Or these nice top peaks right here. That is absolutely phenomenal volume. Right now we're sitting at under 1 million. So it is extremely important to know the volume that is going on within. But this is definitely a resistance line. It is resisting to break past this. So let's hang in tight. Let's check it out. Watch it. The one thing that I really want to point out right here is let's look at the different time intervals, because the different time intervals can tell a very big story here. So if we scroll down and do the 5 minutes for every single candlestick represents 5 minutes, you can see on the Macb that it is having a huge wraparound, and this could make for a very nice channel, believe it or not. So if we look at it, it's going to look a whole lot different than the 1 minute candlesticks. So every 5, 10, 15, 20, this is how it looks. And it is representing a beautiful play right here for it to just wrap up and round and make excellent new high right here. And so you might be wondering, yes, there when it went up to 630 and actually broke it up to 632, I believe we just saw right there. Which is awesome. Yep. See, once it breaks a whole number, it flings way up in there, and this is extremely awesome because you might be wondering, where would you buy in this situation? And there are a few different points. The very first one, you wouldn't buy until after it breaks the previous high, which would be right here in this area, for many reasons. So let's go down here, let's get a better view of what is actually happening and everything. So it went right up to 650. 650, it's breaking the 650. So wherever this lands next is going to be the next high, and then after that, I think it's going to cool off a lot. Because what stocks like to do is, after the second high, it always likes to cool off. But in this case, this is just really interesting because the volume, what you must know about volume is if you have extremely high price movements on weak volume, that is a key sign of it now falling and coming back down. So you really want to know exactly where the volume is at all times. So it came up to 690. And 690 is a very nice high price. 690 is a very nice high price. Let's see if it breaks 690, because that might be the next resistance line. Okay, so it did. It broke. So what we are most likely going to see next is it hesitate on $7, on the $7 range. So there it is. Alright, so nice. It did break above into the 7s. So let's see exactly how high and where this sucker goes, because it is chucking along. So at this point, you would not buy in. It is way too high of a price to even think about buying in. You would have missed it way down here about $1.50 ago, which is your great entry point. And as you can see, it is chucking along. But in the instance you were to buy in up here, you can already know where the support line is at. So your best chance is to hold off and let it wrap down and around, make the bounce off, and you buy back off of the support line right here. So as you can see, it had a real nice run up, stopped out at 758, and is now coming down. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put the 758 as a resistance line. So now you can see a beautiful clear picture of what we might have coming up in the next 10 to 15 minutes actually. Let me see if I can, okay, there we go. So if we stretch this way out, you know, we got the low, we got another ascending triangle. This is very important, extremely important, because it might ride up here, and unless it breaks 758, it's not going to make a new high. But what this is reading very high signs of is coming back down to bounce off of this and then come back up. So you could have two buy points coming up. In the instance it comes down to support, you want to pay very close attention for it to not break through. If it breaks through, you have our previous resistance, which is now new support. You would watch very closely for a confirmation of it wrapping back up and around. And a great entry point at this point would be the 580, believe it or not, which is where you would have bought in at, and you would have wrote it up and sold out right up here. And how would you have known to sell out? Because of that rapid price movement. When you have a rapid price movement like that that runs up and then all of a sudden just stops, and then you have this little, it's almost like it's telling you, hey, nobody's really buying me no more. I'm kind of done and wrapping back down and around, and I'm ready to be at a lower price to be able to be much more sold here. So we can hang on tight and see. It is right there at in the 750s, which is awesome. That's very neat. So we will see. But remember, it has to break 758. Now, what's so significant is if it breaks 758, it might go right to 759. And as I stated earlier, you want it to go past at least whole numbers. So, 50s, 60s, 70s, like that. So it might go to 759, stop and be done, come back. It might go to 760, stop and be done and come back. The key is you wait until it passes at least 760. So you would want it to be at least 761 before you buy, because you know that now it will travel into the 760s. And that's how that works. And it is right there. It is definitely consolidating. But as you can see, these candlesticks are battling. They are battling a ton. So if we scroll down right here, we can take a look at our order book, which is this over here. These are all of the limit orders for buying and selling that people are wanting to do right now. And so how you look at this is the shares and this is the price for selling. This is the shares and this is the price for buying. So you want to pay attention to extremely high orders. So for example, when it hits $7.78, somebody wants to sell almost 9,000 shares. And what would that do to the price of the stock? See right here, at 780, somebody wants to sell almost 11,000 shares. And again, right there, it must have gone through. But when you have more people selling over here than more people buying, you get this. This is a price that's going to go to approximately if more people sell, and if more people turn out to be buying it, that is the price that it'll go to. So when you first sign up with Webull, you actually get 3 free months of this, which is awesome. Then after that, it's $1.99 a month after that. It's extremely powerful, extremely useful. I love using it for many reasons. Alrighty, so we come right up here, and it did indeed pass the 758 that we were talking about. So what does that tell us? Boop! No longer resistance because it broke it. And this is exactly how you have to do it. You have to make the best possible outcome for yourself for when you would buy and when you would sell. So, as you can see, at this point, it's definitely going to drop. And we're going to now watch for it to come down. So I'm going to reinsert our top resistance line at the 787 right there. And so now we're going to be going right in between these. The reason that I understand, as I was saying earlier, it's a great buy point for when it breaks that, but that is in the incidence for when it comes down, cools off, and then comes back up to reach it, which would be over here. When it breaks it immediately after, like it did, it's most times it only shoots up 20-30 cents before it then drops. So you would have been stuck in an entry point right in here actually, and then you would have been followed by $1 down 3 minutes later, which is not where you want to be. As you can see, the MACD is turning down into the negative territory. As you can see, what happens when that happens, for example, right here ran up, and then we had a massive this, and the stock came down with it. Actually went from 538 down to 414. And so this is how you can kind of tell where it's going to come down to. So this went from 583 down to 421. So that's almost $1 difference. That's like $1.10 to 20 cents difference. Now this one, it went from 583 up to 787. So that's a $2 difference. So what's extremely important about measuring the price difference between your support and resistance lines is because you want them to grow nice and gradual and nothing so crazy. And so as you can tell, this is growing. Every time it breaks a resistance level, it is growing in the next increment of the next dollar. So as you can tell, if it were to break this next resistance line, where would the price have a high probability of moving to? Definitely it's going to go bypass the dollar range, and it definitely could have potential to go into the $2 range next. And because this is $1, this is $2, it definitely could go into the $3 range. That would be extremely high price movements. So that is exactly what we're looking at right now. We're having a pullback. So we will see where this goes. My personal opinion is to not buy in until it comes back down, cools off, gathers more buyers, let everything regroup for a second, and either if it bounces off our channel line, buy there. But if it hesitates, and then breaks it, you want to watch very carefully for it not to break this. Once it breaks this, we're going to think of this as a hotel. You have the lobby, so we can put in a nice horizontal line down here where this all started. You have first level, second level, third level, fourth level, and so on and so on. So what happens when you want to take an elevator up to the 4th floor? You have to come up and break it, and then break it, and then break it. And when you want to come down, you have to come down at all of them. And you can make stops, get off, but your ideal goal is to come all the way back down. And so that's kind of how this is working. As you can see, a stock came up and broke into the first level, chilled out, maybe walked around for a little bit. Yeah, what it was doing was consolidating, grabbing everybody that wants to get in for it to take off again. Broke it. We're now in the second level, and it's going to regroup in between here. But if it breaks this, it's going almost right down to the 422 line. I see this happen a lot. You may notice exactly when it broke resistance over here. When it broke resistance, it just immediately, boom, right up to our new resistance. So same thing happens when it breaks one on the opposite way. It just goes boom, right down to the previous. It's going to bounce right here. It's going to be right on the line, and then boom, it's going to go back down to the same price I started off at in the pre-market this morning. The pre-market is blue. This trading day is dark. And so you can see it is definitely just honkering down in there. It is not done with the MACD, so let's pay very close attention to all of this. So at this point, we are just waiting. So how about we go check out some other stocks? Let's come back up. So yeah, see, this one is definitely the one that we just watched rise about 100% from when we started. So let's come back down. Yep, as you may see, we have our few different levels of support and resistance here. And what we could actually put in is one right here as well. Most definitely. And what's so significant about this 476 down here is that's where it's kind of going to. This one is definitely not at all a great position you want to be in unless it shows all of the signs of it turning around. But as you can see with the MACD, it's not bypassing up into the positive area up here. So that is a no-go for me. Based off of just that one indicator is a no-go. Now, how do you get the transformation from it going up into the nice positive area up here is exactly this. You have it coming down and coming down, and we can actually draw in a line right here so we can really see exactly what happened. And this is very, very interesting as well. So if we take our line and take it off of these two highs right here, let me adjust that one. Boom. So these two highs right here, let's see exactly how that looks on the MACD. As you can see, it made a high and it came down, and when you have one point and then a lower point, it doesn't come back up to the last previous high. That is a great way of saying, hey, I'm on a downtrend now because I did not wrap but back up and around to make new highs. I am now starting my downtrend. And so what it's going to do is make highs but going down low. And how that relates on the MACD is it made the high and then it came all the way down, and the very first point right here is a really nice small little tiny green transition right there before it came back over, and right here is actually where it crossed down on the MACD. And that is also showing on the chart up here that there is no sign of it wrapping back up and around at all. Now, if it would have came back up right here, where we can zoom in and see, oh, this might be it, is it going to turn in and be this massive uproar again? But you would not until it did what? Until it broke this right here. It did not, so you wouldn't even bother deciding to buy in right there unless it came all the way back up to the $7.60 range from the $7 range. And after that, it stayed down there. And that's exactly what our downtrend channel line represents, is it staying right down there. Now, when does it transition and come up? Excellent question. When it breaks our beautiful downtrend channel line. And as you can see, once it broke it, what did it do on the MACD? It did the exact same thing. It broke the downtrend and started forming an uptrend. And that's exactly what it did. And this is also support, and that is also our previous resistance. So as you can see, that's just exactly how stocks like to bounce in between their support and resistance, which can make for excellent buy points. In the example that you have a confirmation. So would you have bought based off of it just coming to support? No. Why? It is still in a downtrend overall. It's still below our line, and it is still below on the MACD. Now, when would you buy? The immediate point after it breaks our downtrend channel support line right here. You actually would have bought right on in this area, either the top of this candlestick because it was extremely explosive, we're talking some pretty nice volume up in there, and or this right here, and from there it took right off and went from $6, the high fives, exactly $6 range, all the way up to the previous high at $8.63. So that would have been beautiful. A simple 100 shares would have came out with a nice $250 profit. Very, very nice. And that would have all happened within about 45 minutes. Yeah, about 30, 45 minutes. Beautiful. And that perfectly relates on what it did on the MACD. As it broke it, it also broke up and above. And that's how you would go about going with that. So as you can see how I put this line in right here to gauge it, we are going to do the same exact thing with what happened over here. Can you identify your 2 points of where you would put it and where you would go about buying? I'm going to go ahead and put them in. I see them right off the bat here, which is our very top high point, and right there. And it's crazy because your 2 high points within the lows, within the downtrend, they all beautifully connect all of the points. I love it when that happens. That just goes to show that stocks really do bounce beautifully off that type of stuff. And so as you can tell, we have a very, very large price difference of where this stock has to go before it would be considerable to buy it. Based off of it broke our bottom support line. It's way down there in a downtrend. This is just something that maybe within the next 2 hours, if it shows great signs and comes down here and definitely bypasses this in any way. But until any of that shows, along with the MACD coming up and above, which is about the same moment that it'll come over and break this. So for now, this stock has my attention completely off of it, even though it is up here on the top gainers. Let's go back and check out the stock that we have been looking at and gauging on what's going to happen, because it has gone from $1.55 this morning all the way up until $7.87. Beautiful, beautiful play right here. It doesn't get much better than that, am I right? But you tell me, what do you see happening right here? Based off of what we just went over with the MACD, along with volume. I can scroll down and we can look at the volume and the RSI. Where's the RSI at? What's the rule of thumb for that? What's the rule of thumb for volume? And based off of the MACD we just went over, what would definitely put you in the favor of where this is going to go next, based off of our support and resistance line and our channel line we have right here. Because altogether, this stock is in a what? It is in an uptrend. Altogether, it is still in an uptrend. Unless it breaks our channel line, then I would delete that. If it breaks it, I would delete that because it would no longer be continuing on with that kind of pattern. It would then be going on the pattern with the support and resistance line and consolidating in between these price movements before either continuing down or continuing up. So that is that. Let's go on to let's check this one out. Pdsb. Okay. So right off the bat, let's go ahead and get right into putting in all of our indicators so we can really see exactly what the heck is going on and where would be great exit and buy points, profit points, where would you not buy in at, all of that really good stuff. So as you can see, our very, very top number is 588, and it almost bounced up and hit it. It went to 584. Ooh, that's rough. That's very rough. When you have a stock that makes a high and then later on down the road it comes up but misses it by just a few cents, that to me always shows what's called a double top. And I'm going to explain to you what a double top is, because I'm actually in the process of making a video that I'm going to release out today on exactly all of the patterns and everything that you need to know to be able to pick out and really tell what is going on. So to me, this is relaying a double top. Now what a double top means is you have the stock trading above. All of a sudden it comes up and makes a nice massive high. It comes down, and then not too long down the road it comes up and makes just about the same price move as the previous high, but it bounces off of it and it's going to come back down, to here and then break it, and it's going to end up right back down at the 371 that it was trading at this morning. So put that right there. So what do I see happening here? That's what I see happening here. I see the stock going straight down to here, and that is what you would call a double top. As you can see, it makes two top high price moves but does not surpass it, which, as we have talked about, is extremely important for it to surpass it. And oh my goodness, would you look at that? We caught this one just at the right time, didn't we? There it is. We are right back up there. I believe it actually just went up to exactly 588. So let's hang on tight right here and watch exactly what it does, because this might not be a double top at all, and this could be coming up for a great percent gain, considering it went from 452 all the way up to 588, about a $1.50 increase. Remember what I always say about those whole numbers, it's going to sit right there on the 590 mark, and I did see it go to 592, which is excellent. That means it can definitely go way into the 590s, which is what we're seeing right here. You might be considering to yourself, is this a great buy? You wait for the next candlestick to represent a great buy. Why? For this very reason. It might break above, but until you have the next candlestick representing it fully breaking is when you would decide. And because it's right on the dollar amount, what do we know about the dollar amount? You don't buy until it goes into the sixes. That is extremely important, because as you may notice, how strange is that for it to just land exactly on $6? Extremely interesting, am I right? I've been talking about that a lot, about the increments and the whole dollar amounts that stocks like to go on. So there we go. Great, excellent buy point right there, actually. On Pdsb, it's just showing great signs of buying. And what we're going to watch next is it just beautifully surpass all of these next increments and everything. And from here, let's see where it goes exactly. This is excellent. A nice breaking point. We're gonna hop right on over, because I just noticed the stock that we were looking at earlier is actually, it did come down. It dropped over an entire dollar over here, and is actually right on our uptrend channel line. Believe it or not, it bounced exactly off of that. How awesome is that, am I right? When you can see this actually done, and the price moves and how they really follow this type of stuff is just really fascinating to me. But at this point, remember, you would not buy based off of it riding so close to the support. I'm sorry, the channel line right here, because it is at the same time on the MACD. What is it showing on the MACD? It did indeed just dip below. And what happened previously when the MACD dipped below, it also dipped below on our channel line. So this is an extremely crucial point. Within the next 2 minutes, we are going to know which direction are we going to have a high probability of this stock going. It's either gonna definitely tank down, and as you can see how it came back and was going to and then didn't and rejected it, you can definitely see back over here that same thing might indeed happen. So this is extremely important time. As you can see, it is just riding right there on the point. It even hit it right here and came up to be right on it again. So let's definitely keep a very nice eye out for this, because this is awesome. And what is about to happen? We are waiting. Is everybody curious at this point to really see what happens? Because I'm telling you, if it does indeed break down right here, it's most likely going to be one really big candlestick that goes boom right down to right here. But in the case it bounces off, we're going to see nice good green candlesticks all the way back up to, I'm going to say, anywhere from the $7.70 to the $7.80 range. So as you can see, what is happening right here, the MACD is, believe it or not, like screaming at you, hey, I'm not going on a downtrend right now. I'm about to take off. With that being said, this could easily take off and make a new high. So let's stay real nice and tuned and what is exactly about to happen. But this right here is what makes me double think. It wants to, but it's not. So it's gonna fake us out. And you can see the buying and selling pressure right here is immaculate. It's really having a hard time because of the amount of buyers and sellers are about equal right now. The stock is, in a way, saying everybody is either wanting to pull it down or everybody's wanting to pull it up. They just can't pick a direction at all. So fast forward about 4 or 5 minutes there. It's still hesitating right on our channel line. But what we do see is the MACD has, in a way, kind of picked a direction right here. So it is extremely important right here to know what it is that you're actually looking at. And it is still having a very hard time picking a direction. But if we do see some volume increase, okay. So like that right there, it just ran up right below the 1 million for volume. So it's getting a lot of eyes on it, meaning a lot of buying pressure is unfolding, and there we go. We got a real nice bounce off of we have a really nice bounce off of the support line. As you can see, it just went up 20-30 cents in this one candlestick. So let's keep a great eye on where it goes from here. Is it indeed going to wrap back around and make this huge uproar and completely bypass the previous high of 787 and continue up? Because it at this point has picked a nice direction, but it could also be faking you out, and you never want that to happen. So boy, this is interesting. Would I buy based off of this right here? I would not, just because it is still trading in between our support and resistance lines. It could definitely come all the way back up to right in this area and then be like, yeah, boom, come all the way back down. So until it comes up to the 787, and as we know, you wouldn't buy at the 787, you would buy at the next increment, which would be 790. But what is 790 so close to? 790 is so close to the next whole dollar range, which is $8. So I could see this very, very potentially going right up to $8, and it's going to be one or two things. It's going to bypass $8 or not, and that's going to be a very big deciding factor on whether you buy. So the next price that you would buy at, for example, you would have bought in down here, and you would have sold after it made the high right in here, and you're, in a way, waiting to see if you're going to buy back in. And it just really depends on how nice is it going to swing, because what we really could do is make this really interesting and take this high right here and put a completely new whole twist in it. And what I mean by that is run a line based off of these highs right here as well. So now we're going to have a very interesting it's possible for this to go on a downtrend, and it is also possible for it to go on an uptrend. It is also possible for it to bounce off of resistance and support. So as you can see, the amount of deciding factors that this has is just immaculate, which is again why I state you wouldn't really buy in between this area. You would buy after, so it makes new highs, because at this point it is consolidating. Very interesting. So let's go up and check on let's go check on something else that's going on. Let's go back down to this one that we talked about really previously is once again not at all showing signs of it coming back up. Is there a significance about $7 or $4.75? Let's come back and zoom in right here, $4.76. That is definitely when you have a price and it has touched a penny or two away from that same exact price, that is a great representation of, what do we know? A support line. I know, so we're going to put that right there at 475. I'm sorry, I keep getting all of my numbers mixed up from all of this information, this beautiful information I'm relaying to you all. And as you can see previously, it actually did do some nice consolidating in between just these two price moves. But let's fast forward ahead of time. Here we are. As you can see, we're just continuously falling and falling. No signs of it coming up at all. So until it breaks right here, I would not actually come back and look at it. Let's go down to the Pdsb and check this one out. As you can see, it broke previous resistance. It said, oh my goodness, it made a very quick new high. That's one of the things about buying right after it breaks, is it can take off in great many ways, and it can also take off and make a new high right away. And that's exactly what we are seeing right here, is it made a new high, literally 2 minutes of it breaking up here at 616. Very, very interesting. What we have right here could be a great channel line, believe it or not. If we mark it down here, fling it up all the way up here, we have another ascending triangle, meaning it's going to come down into here and then either go one of two ways, up or break through and above. The MACD is it did just pass below the MACD, but it's also relaying an amazing message of it coming back up, which we have seen a lot lately. For example, right over here, it definitely went way in, but as you can see, it bottomed out on support and made a great comeback. So that's what's going on right there. We can come back up and let's reevaluate what our number one top gainer ENTX is doing. It broke our possibility of it going down. Absolutely amazing. Don't know why it does that every time I take a line off. It's chucking right along. The MACD is coming up. It's right, like I said, we have the ascending triangle. It's going to come up and get squeezed right up in between here. It might even break it sooner or earlier, but it's going to get squeezed way up in here. And I have seen times, I've been in positions and times where it'll come all the way up to the very last moment, and then all of a sudden it's ready to pick a direction, and it is extremely volatile. And it gets up in these really serious price movements. One thing that we can definitely take a look at is the Macb. Once again, it's one of my favorite indicators. And if we really wanted to, we can definitely check out another great indicator, the boiler bands. For one of many things, just to kind of give a clear idea, I would turn off the MA lines, my 9-day, 20-day, and 180-day MA lines, which is the moving averages, and look at just strictly the bands. I have a hard time saying those, but no worries. Wow, just took an extremely high impact of sellers right there. But what these lines represent is predicting when an outbreak happens, and that is determined on the bottom line, the lower, and then our upper line, and then our middle. And so as you can see right here, how they are all extremely close together, that is telling you that there is no direction being picked, and it's not really volatile. It's really just hanging in there. But as you can see, when you have a takeoff, you have the lower line go way down, and the upper line follows it. And what this means is it is telling you where it can go in this volatility in a way. And then so you would primarily, how they use this is you would primarily buy once you notice the candlesticks and everything, and the two lines start to separate massively like this and really get a nice bow in. Once again, right here, you can see it again happening from it bouncing off support, going up to resistance. You see the lower line and the upper line really spread apart from each other, and that leaves room for the price action that can happen. But as you can see, since we were consolidating in between support and resistance, they really kind of stayed all together in here. And then what happened, of course, once it broke, they strayed very far apart from each other, and we are now close. We are now really close to each other. Not much is happening, which is it did right there for a second. It definitely was onto something, and as you can see, actually, it just completely disregarded our possibility of it following this trend line. So I'm just going to take that off because it broke it, no longer in use to us. We now move on to it strictly trading in between the support and resistances. So that's really cool about the Bollinger Bands. I really like to use those. It can really help you predict the price movements and stuff, which is awesome. So what I see now, you can tell how the Bollinger Band is starting to spread apart, but the stock is going the opposite way. So you notice over here how they strayed away, but the candlesticks and price stayed with the upper. That same thing definitely happened with the lower. I see a very possible new downtrend actually. So I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to re-add my MA lines so I know exactly what's happening. But what I see is this high and this high, along with the MACD is below, to add a channel line for a downtrend. So we are going to draw them in. Let's draw them in real quick, and now let's adjust. And by adjusting these, I know we just totally like skipped, we like fast forward here, like 10 minutes. But as you can see, within those 10 minutes, it dropped all the way down to our support level. And I put this in right here because now we have a descending triangle. It's the opposite of the ascending triangle. It's now the descending triangle. But it could definitely break this as well. This is just a probability of what could happen. There is one thing that you need to know about when stocks come down to reach support level is you might notice that it broke down below it a little bit. But what is so awesome about this is, what do we have right here? What is this one single candlestick? Anybody tell me? Anybody tell me? Boom, it's a reversal. When you have a reversal that happens on support or a little bit below support, because sometimes when stocks are on a downtrend, like this is a very, very good downtrend actually, you would have been able to really draw this one in from right there, hitting all of those tops as you can see. And we'll just grab that. And as you can see, it just literally just bounced off of all of those right down to support, and it broke it. At the same time, we have a reversal, one single candlestick right there. We also have the three soldiers, and we also have volume along with the MACD traveling up. So I just definitely said a whole bunch of greatness. The RSI is at 42. It was just right there at 30, which, what is the rule of thumb for the RSI? 40 and below, so 43 is not bad at all. Volume. Let's talk about volume real quick. As you can see on these great uptrends, the volume was ranging all the way up into the 4 million. And right now it is under 1 million still. So as far as volume goes, the volume just is not there. So it's in a way saying it's still yelling price or weak price movement, which is the sole reason of why I put this downtrend channel line in, because as we all know, we have, our outlook and everything, and we can go ahead and put our another indicator up as the my MA lines. So this blue line right here is my 180 day. If it does indeed cross my 180 day, which this is an averaged out, this is a line meaning it's averaged the last price from the last 180 days to give it this line. And in the case that it bypasses our 180 day line, our MA line, what does that tell you? That tells you that it is now no longer coinciding with the present market trend, because this, if the candlesticks are up here above, that means uptrend, bullish. If it breaks below, you're talking about not so bullish anymore, and you can definitely see that on the MACD as well. We're now going to get these spurts of green and red and green and red, but altogether I think this stock right here is pretty done for the day. You didn't see it on here because I did it on my phone, but earlier I bought in right here on this candlestick, and I rode it all the way up to right in here, and I sold out. I made a nice, I think it was only like $50, but that was $50 within like 10 minutes. So that was amazing. Profit is profit no matter what. The reason that there was a nice small profit was because the way you go about that is you buy in increments. You do not put your entire investment onto one stock, you will lose it. Every single time in my past personal experience, if I've ever put all my money on one stock, I've almost lost most of it. With that being said, you have to go by the rule of thumb of no more than 10%, and you do it in increments. So if we started off this morning and we broke right here, you would have bought your first increment. Now, when you buy your first increment, say you buy 50 shares. So you buy 50 shares right here, and it comes up and it bounces, and then you now have your resistance line, and you're still holding the position because you're still positive territory. You have lots of great key signals saying that's going to go higher, and when it breaks this line right here, you buy your second increment of 50 shares. And what that does is now it averages out your position to about the in between the $5 and $5.50 range, but now you have 100 shares. And so when you do write it up and you get this massive everything showing overbought, then you sell, and that is how you go about that. You never just throw all of it down in one single spot. For that reason, you always average up, so you can protect your principal and trade well. And that is exactly why you would enter a trade. Now, as we can see, as I talked about, when it breaks support, it breaks it. There's no, not saying that it definitely did not just break it, because when it breaks it, exactly when it breaks it above, it takes off. So when it breaks below, it takes off. So until this stock comes down and about right around here in this area, it is 12 o'clock, so I wouldn't say back until the 1 o'clock, 1:30 area would this show any signs of coming back up and around. With that being said, let's go check out another one. Boy, this one is still following on our two, well, no longer this one, but on our downtrend as well. We have seen no great signs of it coming up at all. So that one is done for until we see great signs of it. We can check out this one actually. This is a great example of the ascending triangle. As you can see, we have a resistance, which it did bounce off right here, and we have our channel line, which it is making nice bounces off of. So like I said earlier, it's just going to come all the way up in here, get squeezed, and then burst out at one point. Whichever direction that goes depends a whole lot, and based off of the MACD, it is about to turn negative, so we definitely have a high probability of it coming down right there. Let's come up and check. Let me check that one. Let's, for example, see exactly where we are at with this one. Have we looked at this one today? We have not looked at this one today, but when you come onto a stock that has all of these little tiny random candlestick points, they're nothing real crazy, you most likely have no volume. So let's look at the volume. Oh gosh, absolutely no volume at all. For a day trading position, this is not what you want to be in. You see this volume? On these stocks that we were just looking at, we were at least almost at 1 million, but this is literally down here, anything under 50K for volume, so no volatility in that at all, which is why it is also down here, about the 5th or 6th down. We can come back up here and check it out one last time, see what it's doing. We can also, yeah, it's definitely on downtrend there. We can also check out the different time interval. So this is rather interesting because on the 5-minute chart, it has not yet dipped down below the MACD. So every candlestick represents 5 minutes. We can see a much shorter version of what we have just walked through today, but it has not yet. So the 5, to me, I see through the 5-minute candlesticks that we are going to, the 5-minute candlesticks is showing that this is the bottom. So you notice like how this was the top and then you started to get it coming down. This is also the top of the bottom for them to start curving back around, but that would also bring your position to come back down to our bottom support line for it to come back on up. So definitely pay attention to the support line at $4.15 along with that key deciding factor. And also by that time it would also be pretty much deciding, hey, am I gonna bounce off of my channel line and then go along with the descending triangle? Are we gonna break up and above and continue to make new highs and whatnot? I really hope through this video I explained some really great and important information for you on how I go about day trading stocks and what I look for, and when I buy, when I sell, the checklist of rules that I go by, just pretty much explaining how the entire process goes when I come in here and I personally put my own knowledge into this. Please subscribe to me on YouTube if you want more great content, and give me a like. Also, I'm on Apex Trader Facebook group page. Definitely go visit me there. I put out really good stuff. I'm going to upload a very nice video after the market closes today on this exact thing, patterns, trading patterns that you have to follow and always keep in your head what is going on. With that being said, thank you so much. I hope I helped you.